Anyways, we're gonna get into things here. Welcome back, everyone. It's been a while.
Pew, pew.
We missed y'all's faces and ears. Ears sounds kind of weird.
Miss staring at the screen
Yeah, me staring at the screen.
in the camera.
Just for you, beautiful, beautiful individuals. What we're gonna be going over today is an anime by the
Garbage.
name of. It is
Oh,
not called
sorry.
Garbage.
Sorry,
Pretty
spoilers.
pretty good band, by the way. But no, it is not called Garbage. It is called Wonder Egg Priority. And as you see, Cole's going to have some choice words for this show. Thankfully, we have not discussed at length or at all really his thoughts and views. That way, I'm just as fresh to this shit as y'all are. So we shall see just how upset he is.
I'll let you start. I got to build up my emotions.
All right, so we'll go over per usual the quick synopsis, and it's actually going to be quick this time. Quick synopsis.
Yeah, because you can't tell what the fuck's going on.
Yeah, it's a little kind of all over the place, but to an extent, that's a good thing. But at a certain point, it genuinely jacks with the story progression. So yeah, but this is a story about a girl named Ai Oto. She is like what 12, something like that, 12 or 13. She's
I think they were in that. Yeah, in that range.
yeah,
12,
they're in like
14
middle
or
school. And basically she lost the only friend she ever had. She's a pretty introverted girl, yeah, she's very introverted. Makes friends with this chick, and yeah,
And when we say lost her only friend,
like yeah, she
self,
yeah, she kind of
so we don't piss off the YouTube algorithm.
yeah, for real. She kind of unalived herself, as the saying goes on the interwebs.
Yeah.
It was unfortunate. It crushed I, and our story kind of picks up from there. As far as her being a shut-in, and you know, figuring shit out for herself. But she goes out at night to kind of be away from people, I guess, be away from her thoughts, get out of her own head, kind of. And we are introduced to her while she's learning about this egg.
Well, yeah. Side note, just before you finish the synopsis, they must live in the safest town or
I'm
city in the
telling you,
world
bro.
for these like 12-year-olds to be just self-wandering.
Not only that,
all
12-year-old
over the
girls.
place.
These are like 12 and 13-year-old girls that are wandering around at night. But we'll get into that. Anyway, she finds this, or is approached by this firefly that can speak to her, and she decides to follow it like any normal sane individual would, and it leads her to a slide that is subterranean, and she jumps into the slide, and boom, we start our journey with the Wonder Eggs. The Wonder Eggs are basically a type of what can you use? How do you even call that? It's not an AI. It is a individual from a past life that needs to be saved from their trauma. Could be a past life, or somebody that's already passed, or it could be somebody that is from another parallel world. Yeah, so
Well, yeah.
there's all of that, and then it goes into emotional stakes as far as why these girls, because there are more than one of them, are actually going into the dream world, because it's essentially a dream world, to do all this high risk shit, because you may not be injured in the dream world, but whatever damage you sustain, you do. It is reflected in your actual life when you wake up. It's some like weird Freddy
Well, yeah,
Krueger
and
shit.
like the whole goal of, as far as I understand it, the whole goal of all the main characters here is they're going into the dream world, and if they save enough other girls in the dream world, then their person they're trying to save, like Ai's trying to save her friend that offed herself.
Yes.
If they save enough of them, then they'll be brought back to life or something crazy like that.
Correct. So that's about as much of the synopsis as I'm willing to go into. If you want to watch the show, for sure watch it. I would recommend it if you are like into magical girl anime. Cool. I don't watch the last magical girl show that I watched was Madoka Magica years ago. So that should tell you something. Cole, I'm pretty sure, has not seen that show. So
No.
I think you would enjoy that significantly more than this, because this was.
I think I would enjoy anything significantly more than this.
Now, okay, so now that I'm done with the synopsis, please, by all means, go forth and conquer.
Well, first off, screw you. This is your fault. Another depressing one. Two depressing ones in a row. I wasn't. I needed something else. One, the depressing thing. I'm kind of over it right now. I mean, like the sad shows and reality, like driven shows
Yeah.
that are harsh and stuff. I can get behind them if they've got a good story and good characters. First off, I didn't know what the hell was going on half the time in this show. Second off, the second off, the voice actresses, no offense, but half of them didn't sound like children that were playing children.
Yep.
Like Rika's did not sound like a child. It sounded like a grown ass woman.
As a quick note, this is voiced by excuse me. The dub is I
Oh
guess
yeah, we watched dub because I couldn't
yeah,
find
I couldn't
subbed,
find the
and
sub.
that was our third mistake or first mistake really, because that sounded horrible.
Well, so the dub, as far as quality is concerned, is not bad as far as the sound quality is concerned because it's Funimation.
No, 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 no.
As far as the actual voice acting with like Nehru, especially, Nehru sounded like she was 35 and has been divorced
Rika
at least
sounded like
once.
an adult.
Yeah, Rika sounded like she was in her early 20s, just kind of figuring out her life. The only one that actually sounded like a kid was Momoe, and
She was the
I
one that looked more like an adult.
exactly. She was the one that looked the most like an actual adult, and I sounded like a kid.
Well, yeah, okay. So not to bash completely on the voice actresses slash actors, I will put some of the blame on cringy script
Yes, especially with Rika.
because there were a lot of like lines and stuff. And I'm like, I don't think even the best actresses or actors could have made that sound good for the
Yeah,
scenario and the characters.
some of the lines for most of the lines, I say so. Most of the lines for Rika were just cringe pain.
Yeah,
And it was like a weird
even some
attempt.
eyes too.
Yeah, it was like a weird attempt at trying to
Add comedy.
like add comedy, but also kind of tune into her. You know, she was a pop idol, and so it's like, oh, well, pop idols are hip, and so this is like hip Zoomer lingo that she's gonna use. You know,
Just didn't go.
it just didn't. Where it did not land at any in any incident.
Yeah, so just all of that, just it was kind of cringy, kind of all over the place as far as the story. Kind like the fighting was cringy and kind of like I think the thing I hated the most in the show when all of a sudden I would be like in the dream world and she's all of a sudden when she's ready to beat the boss, it's
Oh,
I'm
I'm
really
really
angry.
angry.
It's like
Yeah.
that. Yeah,
It's the equivalent of believe it for Naruto or fucking Nazi
pretty
going, I'm
much.
all fired up. You know, like it's just really fucking painful. Like she didn't need a fucking catchphrase. That's
Yeah,
because
the
her
catchphrase
character
wasn't.
growth throughout the show like was the easiest to follow. Obviously, because she's the
That's true.
MC.
Yeah,
So her character growth was it was good. I enjoyed her character growth because she went from like the super like timid, mousy, introverted little girl to like strong as shit. Like fuck you, I'm gonna get this shit done. I'm gonna save all these girls, whether you want me to or not. There's nothing you can do to stop me. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, and it wasn't super heavy on the power of friendship type shit. Like, she didn't get any cool like Zenkai boost. She just like had more confidence in herself and was able to take shit on.
well, kind of. They did kind of just all sometimes random, maybe like the her I'm really angry was her
Yeah, it would be
Zenkai
okay.
boost.
Yeah, that was technically her Zenkai boost. That'd be that'd
Say
be
that.
that'd be like her Kaioken times like 100 or some silly shit.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, so but it makes sense whenever they did do that because remember she pretty much controls her level of power in the dream world,
Yeah.
which they for whatever reason stray from. You know, I'm not 100% sure why, but they stray from that at multiple multiple episodes. Of the fact that they can control a lot of their power. I mean, they can change, they can shapeshift the weapons that they utilize. They can do all of these things, and yet they stick with the same shit
The
sometimes.
only times they shapeshift the weapons is when like the person they're trying to save like motivates them in some way that it allows them to modify it to beat their that person's trauma
With the
almost
exception
or
of Nehru, because she'll take her little disc
She
thing.
just snipes and
Yeah,
shit.
she'll take it. She can change it into a high powered sniper. She'll use it as a machine gun. She'll use it as a assault rifle.
That's
She'll
because she
use it
was
as
the
a
smart
pistol.
one.
Yeah, highly.
Okay, and
Um,
that side note, that other thing, that was also when they were like all of a sudden just randomly for no reason out of nowhere. Oh, Nehru's not a real person. She's a AI robot creation.
and they changed it again. They retconned what she was 3 times or 2 times
Yeah,
because initially she was a person, then she was an AI, or
creation.
she was a lab baby, a test tube baby,
Yeah.
and then she was just a full blown AI at the very end there. So yeah, that was I was like, wait, what? That doesn't make any sense. Okay, sure, I guess. How would an AI have dreams that vivid? Doesn't make any sense.
Well, they were the Aka and
Uraka.
yeah, the other fucker. Um, they were apparently master geniuses or whatever.
Super
But
uber geniuses that were able to not only master something, mind you, this is where the portion of the show,
well, this is like the end. They kind of get into their
yeah,
story at the end, and I was
at the
like,
very end,
what the hell does that have to do with the rest of what we've been doing?
yeah. So they get into the whole like, there's that special super smart society or whatever, um, from the Japan branch or whatever. It's just like super, only super geniuses can get in. It's like the 0.001%. It makes MIT look like a community college, basically, type
Yeah.
scientific society. So Nehru's a part of it. And Aka and Uraka, they're two scientists, as far as
Well,
characters are
when
concerned.
we meet them, they're
Yeah,
freaking
when we meet them,
puppets,
they're
which I don't. I
weird
still
puppet
never
things.
got how they got to that point.
They briefly, they don't, I won't say explain it. They just mention it in passing of
Promise I
they
wasn't watching that deeply.
they got they got older and wanted to live eternally, so they transferred their minds and consciousness to two
I
dummies.
remember him saying something like that, but I was
Yeah.
hoping for like a visual explanation, and they did.
I was like, please show me how this happened instead of you just mentioning it via dialogue, because you did a whole lot of showing some shit that could have been just done via dialogue.
Well, so the whole Mr. Sawaki kind of
That weird
thing,
fucking angle.
that well, one, it was weird what they were trying to imply with that.
Yeah.
And two, it just all of a sudden was done and over with and fine, like nothing
Yeah.
happened. And I was like, you had these suspicions that he was having a relationship with this child as a teacher,
Yes.
and then now all of a sudden he wants to date your mom, and then you just make the decision he's okay.
Yeah. Not only
Like,
that not only did you just make the decision, okay, well, I guess he's
oh, he
fine,
drew a painting of your mom using you as a
using
reference.
you as a reference, but
Oh,
really it was, this is my envision, or this is how I
that's
envision
creeper
you'll look
vibes
like
right
as an
there.
adult.
Yeah,
It's just,
that's creeper vibes.
it's a little
Well,
bit.
same thing with Uraraka and the girl at the very end they
Oh,
introduced.
Aka's fucking daughter. Yeah.
Inara, yeah.
Yeah, his
And how she
niece.
was like,
Yeah.
"Wait for me," and I was
Yeah,
like,
wait for me. I was like,
"Mm,
hey, Cam, come on, man. What we doing?
who made that?"
Who did this, man? What are we doing? That's that's all I
It
can
was.
think of.
It got to the point of almost as bad as Platinum End with some of the just unnecessary
There
shit.
was basically everything passed because
Trying to be
remember,
edgy and dark, and
yeah,
it's like, okay, you didn't need that.
the whole confronting trauma theme I loved as a theme overall. That made sense to me because it's dealing with, these are young girls that have all dealt with some form of mental trauma and they're trying to get over it, and in them trying to get over it, they are physically helping
Well,
other
yeah, the only
manifestations of girls in the past or whatever that have dealt with the same thing. Trying to kind of
well, yeah,
alter the course of the of their own storyline. Without just killing themselves. So,
I like when they all pedophiles.
oh hell yeah, like,
When they were that was the best part of the show is when they were offing those guys.
yeah, dude. When we first meet Momoe,
That's when I was like rooting for
holy
him. I was like,
shit, yeah, I was
kill
like,
him,
dude, murder them,
get him,
please. Like, all the
finish him.
all the stabby, all the killy, like.
All
But
right, back to the list.
back
Well,
to
we kind of covered
this.
all the weird, kind of unnecessarily child adult relationships. The next thing is whoever made this was like doing some hard drugs. Whoever they hired to create the monsters, because they just looked like someone on crack did this shit. Like,
It's, mm, I
I
I'm
like
of a different mindset
creativity.
with it.
Oh, I like creativity, but these ones were just kind of fucking weird.
I like that they were a different different than your standard villain, right? Like they're this weird, like overly contorted, over exaggerated, overly colorful, over the top, and that's kind of ties into these are children dealing with pretty heavy trauma, and this is a manifestation of said trauma because they have no, it's chaotic, just like their ability to manage these situations of trauma, and so that made a lot of sense to me as far as their design. Now,
Well, I don't mind them being scary, like if you're dealing with trauma, but these look more like jokes.
yeah, it tried to add like a weird whimsical spin to
It tried to
trauma,
be,
which doesn't
yeah.
really work all that well.
It was more of weird, like the one monster that was like uttering out the goo shit, like basically just squirting on him.
The
Which half of them did some kind of weird
the
squirt thing.
paint
They like
monster or the gymnastics.
there were a couple. Is the gymnastics coach? I think that was
Yeah,
like squirting all the
yeah, and got it
whatever.
all over her eyes. Well, eyes.
Well, she had like four extra like snake like udders.
Yeah,
I was like,
it's like it's kind of gross.
yeah. They
Yeah,
liked that. Whoever made them liked that shit a lot.
yeah. It was interesting from that standpoint. I will say,
Well, like okay, so the very first like crazy monster they kind of fight
oh,
was
that
that
axe bitch.
the axe bitch. It was like, okay, that's it's creative. She got like the glitchy face, which is
Yeah.
weird, but then it wasn't over the top ridiculous. And then the very next one is like this the top ridiculous gym coach thing. It's like, how did we go from this to this? It's like they fired the person who made the first one and said, "Here, give it to
I
this
think they
guy," and
kind of just. I
he
think
made the
they.
rest.
I don't know if they brought in multiple. I didn't look into the creation of the show because it's a
Well, I didn't
project.
either. I'm just saying, based on
Yeah,
the art style, the very first
and how
uh,
much it varies.
monster they
Yeah,
fight was not the same person as who made the other ones.
yeah, because like the first one was like super detailed, and then they were like, "Hey, you know what? We're gonna be way less detailed with this. We're gonna."
Well, they definitely got lazy at the end. The
Yeah,
last one, which was Mr. Sawaki,
yeah,
with
Mr.
just like
Sawaki
four paint
himself.
tubes hanging off his bottom of
Yeah,
his neck.
yeah.
It's like, okay,
It's a weird
a
design.
child could have drawn that.
Yeah, but
But
I
it's a
am of the
bad episode.
mindset.
We're
I'm of the
kind of
mindset
hard.
of this was a interesting attempt at subverting the magical girl genre. Like it was trying to be more of a new age, even though Madoka Magica is not that old. The grand scheme of things, it's trying to do something similar as far as like the really fucked up stuff that these magical girls can go through and things of that nature, while also telling a story of overcoming trauma, while also telling a story of handling emotion, while also telling it's trying to do way too much in 13
Yeah.
episodes and it doesn't finish the story.
Well,
So
well, okay, and this gets into the other point that
yeah,
we had briefly mentioned to each other. One, they've got only 13 episodes and they're trying to cram a bunch in, which we've talked about other series that have tried cramming too much in
mm-hmm.
13 episodes. But half the other problem is they wasted
Two,
basically two
yeah,
episodes because they had a whole recap episode
episode
for
like
no
6
reason
or
on like
7,
7 or
yeah,
8. And then on the last episode, it was a 46-minute episode, but they
yeah, the
spent
first
25 of
half,
it in
yeah,
a recap. So like which is a whole other episode basically. So you
yeah.
wasted 2 episodes on recap stuff when no one needed a recap.
Not a soul was asking for a recap on that because literally, I'd say a good 80% of what was
Well,
recapped
no,
was in the first recap.
yeah.
So
Well, yeah, that too. Well, and you know why they recapped it because they knew people if someone came back to it, they hadn't watched it in a few months because they quit it because of how fucking boring it was. So they knew they
so
needed it.
in case y'all are wondering, as you can see, his disdain for this is my disdain for Platinum End. It's almost on those levels.
Oh, we both had. I had disdain for Platinum Inn too. It wasn't as bad as
Not
this
yeah, I
though.
would say not as bad as
It
this
wasn't
for
as bad
sure.
as this. I would rather watch
Because
Platinum Inn than this.
oh, damn, ooh, okay. So I'm
I
excited
would
to
rather watch
see.
Platinum Inn than this.
I am very much excited to see what your rating is going to be at the end of this. But yeah, obviously we're not going to do a waifu of the week this week because all the main characters are less than 15 years old, so that's not happening.
Well, except Ai's mom, but I mean,
Ai's
you know,
mom is
well,
in.
there are a couple characters like all the moms, but you know, whatever.
They were
Not really worth
so
it. They
they
were
were
so
so
irrelevant.
inconsequential to the actual story that it's not even worth it. Like at least all the waifus that we've done thus far were
They try and
consequential to
keep
the
them
story.
main characters,
Yeah. Um. But
but
yeah,
or
it's
mainer.
been like at least supplementary. Like they weren't even
It's been a
supplementary.
rough time trying to watch this.
They were like quaternary characters. They were
They were
way off in
barely
the
in there,
distance.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Um, that was just an excuse for me to use the word quaternary. But yeah,
All big words.
big words, baby.
Wait, you
When it
words,
comes to when it comes to my feelings on the actual story direction, the first, I guess I would say 6, 7 episodes followed a path. It might not have been. It was an abstract path, but it was like playing a video game, and you have the unseeing hand that's just kind of like, hey, you're kind of like doing your own thing, but you might want to go this way. Not, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but you know, you kind of want to go this way. And you're like, oh yeah, I guess that makes sense. Or that's kind of how the first 6, 7 episodes were. Around episode like 8, which is a recap, which didn't make any sense to me. I did skip it because there was no point for the recap. Nothing happened.
yeah.
Like I skipped
Not
through it.
enough happened.
I was fast forwarding through different points in that episode, and nothing. It didn't cover anything new.
Yeah. Well,
So
so yeah, the like you said, the first half was it was kind of going in a. I was thinking of the theme. Okay, yeah, it's like you know, dream world fighting and saving people.
yeah,
And then the second half, they tried going more into the background of the Akka and Uraaka,
yeah.
and it was like, which their story alone, okay, was not bad,
The story
but
alone could have been its own anime,
well, they could
honestly.
have started the anime with that, and that could have been the anime.
If
But
they would have, okay, I see what you mean there
well,
because
no, but they brought in what's her name, the ginger
Frill,
bitch. Yeah, they
yeah,
brought in Frill at the very end to like
yeah,
explain, oh, this is why we're doing
this is
all
why we're
this,
doing,
and
yeah.
then nothing else about her.
They wouldn't
They
even have
just
had
told her
to.
that what she did, and then
We wouldn't have needed
she was irrelevant.
um a lead into all these, like, because think about it, they started doing this weird shit with Frill's creations at the very end of the damn series. If we would
Yeah,
have gotten the scene of Akka kicking the shit out of her down the stairs and then kicking her into the little tomb thing, the little
yeah,
lockbox, to be like, I don't, you need to not exist in the regular world, that would have made more sense. So just do snips of that and then
yeah.
start with I. That way you're like, what the fuck was that? Was that a dream? Okay, cool. That would have been a
Yeah,
really cool
there's
story
way more
element.
days they could have like
Yeah,
slowly integrated that story
and
instead
just
of
put
just
chunks of it into, or yeah, injected chunks of
well,
it into the
well, because
story.
what it feels like is it feels like they started with the concept of the dream world and stuff, and then they made up Frill halfway through the story,
Yeah, they
and
were
so
like,
like,
oh
well,
wait,
we
what if
just
we
dump
did
her in
this? Yeah,
afterwards
but they did it
because they
so
just
far in
dumped
the
her whole
end.
story in at
Yeah,
the end.
the
It's like,
very end too. You don't find out about Frill until episode what 11, and it's
yeah,
like, holy shit.
yeah,
There's only 13 episodes. Why are we finding out in episode
yeah. That's what I was
11
looking at. I was
about
like,
this major part of the story and the reason why this shit even the entire world of Wonder Egg even exists? The fuck?
yeah. Well, and then there was no Okay, I'm gonna. That's the last thing I'm gonna bash on it. My final bash is there was like no real resolution.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, they ended up all saving their people, and then there was some weird, scary trauma, which they never explained why they came out afterwards too, and like killed their little pet
Yeah,
friends in the
nothing
world.
explained there.
There's no explanation to those little bug girls that were weirdly
Yeah,
creepy.
hyphen dot and the other one, like
Yeah.
there was no explanation to them. All it
All,
showed was
all we knew is
some.
they were somehow they were part of whatever Frill was doing.
It was the creations that they gave her the green light to create when she was
Yeah, and it's like, so,
still
but why
quote
are
unquote
they
younger.
murdering the pets?
Yeah,
Like, so it just I didn't there was no real resolution at the end of the story as to like what exactly was going on. Now, like I can understand like where they ended it, where I was saying, "Oh, I'm gonna go back in for uh what's her fucking name? The robot girl, Namari, Neru,
Nehru.
Neru.
Yeah,
It
Nehru.
was an N.
Nehru and the girl that Nehru was trying to save. That
Well, because Nehru never came out of the Wonder Egg world after she completed her mission, I guess,
correct, yeah. So she's
and
like, I'm
so
gonna go
I
back in
was
and
about to
save
go
her.
back in there, and that's how the
Hmm.
whole season ended. So it's like,
I'm pretty
are
sure
you?
this the show, like,
That's what I'm saying.
yeah,
That could have been easily 12 more episodes of, I guess, that half.
yeah.
But it's like, did you run out of budget?
We could have figured out because of the crazy, like they showed uh the weird thing as far as parallel worlds are concerned. We never went over that. The girls that get pulled in, like we mentioned in the summary, are either excuse me, the girls that are pulled in are either already dead, um, and basically you're fighting manifestations of their trauma, or they are alive in a different universe. You'd be the same person. In the case of she what
Yeah,
episode like 12
she
met a
version
parallel
of
version
her.
of herself, that killed herself because she was tired of getting bullied for having heterochromia.
Yeah,
Um,
and I think that looks pretty cool.
yeah, I was like, it's pretty badass. You got two different color eyes. Like, what the fuck? How are you being bullied for that? Because you're different? That's strange. Okay, like
Well, the
completely
kids,
ostracized. I
kids,
mean,
kids will do that shit.
most kids that I've ever known, if they see some cool shit like that, they're like, "Holy hell, mom! I want two different colored eyes." Like,
Get me a fucking contact,
yeah, exactly.
color
Like,
contact.
he put this shit in high school. Like, but I digress. Yeah, there's this entire story of that she's going back in, and that she saved herself from her own trauma of somehow Mr. Sawaki stemmed or was her main trauma, which was interesting because if he didn't do anything to her, then how was he the trauma?
Yeah, that's what I didn't
She
understand.
manifested him as her trauma by way of the
Because, like,
bullying,
yeah,
which you why she wouldn't just have like a mob of people or a mob of kids as bullies being her
or the
trauma that
Axe Girl as the
manifests. Yeah,
first one.
exactly. Like that would make more sense than Mr. Sawaki
Well, especially because they
painting.
resolved his issue like halfway through the season. She all of a
Exactly.
sudden was okay with him,
Well, not
and
only
it's like,
that,
so
she
why is
found
she
out
the
that it
trauma?
might not have been what
Yeah,
she presumed.
yeah.
And you kind of find out that it wasn't, that it was, according to multiple reports, that it was her.
That she was a weird bee.
Yeah, that she was a crazy little girl, not her friend.
Yeah, the one who's
Yeah. But yeah, that she was saying all this crazy shit about him, basically dragging his hand through the mud because she wanted to be with him, despite the fact that he was an adult, and he was like, "That's a no go." And
sorry, fam.
yeah, like, hey, I ain't about that life. And she threatened to kill herself and said all this shit before she jumped. Of
She slipped.
how, yeah, oh, I'm sorry, yeah, before she slipped. Yeah, she's like, if you don't show up to the rooftop, then I'm gonna tell everybody that you know, assaulted me and this all this other shit. And he didn't show up. He's like, nah, bro, I ain't about this life. Like, I'm out. And she apparently slipped, and yeah.
Yeah, right. And
So how does that turn into Mrs. Sawaki is now her trauma, even though she finds all of this out and understands all of this? How is he hurt? I don't understand. There are a few instances of this doesn't make any sense. The whole damage thing is another thing that really pissed me off as far as continuity is concerned. Because if you're taking that much damage, I mean, getting slammed into walls and shit.
yeah, they're like, oh, it affects you in the real
Yeah, it
world.
affects
It's
you in
like,
the real world.
yeah, they would have girls that size would have broken their
Yeah,
ribs hitting a
broken
wall
ribs,
like
stuff like
that.
that, like broken arms,
But
any of
it's
that
only
shit.
when they get like stabbed by something that it
Yeah,
affects them in the real world. But
it's
all
like
getting tossed around,
yeah, like getting literally yeeted into ceilings at like Mach 1, like type
video
shit.
game style,
Yeah,
anime style
whole ass
fights.
anime style fight scenes in the dream world that's supposed to affect you physically in the real world, a la a Matrix or a fucking Nightmare on Elm Street type shit. Like, what are we doing? That didn't make any sense to me. That
They kind of just took that out.
yeah,
They
they were just
gotta
like, hey, just kidding. We're not going to take the time to actually expound upon this and have it be a passive continuing thing with the amount of times that they go into the
they got a
dream world.
talisman that negated any physical damage.
Yeah,
I was
they're
like,
pets that again were killed for no reason because they refused to go into the actual story for that. They were killed.
yeah, they didn't explain it. I mean, I
No.
just assumed it was like a life for a life thing.
I guess.
Like you get a life back and you're taking. That's the only thing I could think about. But other than that, they didn't really actually explain why the
I,
little bug
I
girls were coming to kill
I
once they
generally feel
finished.
like you are giving them way too much credit there. It makes sense from a story point, but
From a normal person, like looking at it, yeah.
like logically speaking, yeah, that would be cool. But yeah, I feel like you're giving them way too much fucking credit there.
It's hard to think of that deep of stuff when you're on drugs.
Hey man, look, probably shit.
Well, no, if they were smoking weed, then they would have been real deep with the story. But
Yeah, it
they
would
were
have made
just on
sense. That was some
the
like
crackhead
they were in like a
journey.
fucking K hole or some shit, dog. Like, I don't know, but yeah, I'm I don't know. There are a lot of things that I wish would have been done differently.
The
Um,
whole show.
the pay. So yeah, so definitely my level of disappoint with Platinum Men for this on your end. But yeah,
Damn, bro. I'm not
with
even
the
gonna sugarcoat it.
pacing,
It's like a 2 out of 10 for me. I'm
I
giving the rating now. I'm on 2 out of 10. Like,
he said I refuse.
yeah,
He's like, I want to put this one behind me. I'm done.
yeah.
Yeah,
two
that's
out of
rough,
ten.
bro. It's yeah. I
We were not the target audience for this show. I promise you that.
No, like I mean, most dudes are gonna watch a fucking magical girl show. I wanted to watch it just because I love the animation
Except us,
and
because we're professionals.
goddamn right. Bro.
Kind of.
I I wanted to watch it because it'd been on my queue for forever. I saw really good ratings for it. Didn't realize that it was like basically from like female trauma standpoint. And I was like, holy shit. So watching it,
When
I
I'm
was
all
like,
down for that, I
damn.
don't mind expressing that, and that's where the 2 points come from.
Yeah,
Is
that's the depth that
the
they went into
concept
that
of
made
what they were
sense.
trying to do. They just didn't
Exactly.
do a good job executing.
Yeah, the theme of the show, as far as overcoming trauma from a female standpoint, made sense
Yeah,
and could have been executed significantly better. Um,
in my
I,
opinion.
I think I fully agree on that. That it could have been there. There are so many different avenues they could have gone with that,
Yeah.
other than just trying to do shock value in some instances, which really fucking irritated me
Yeah,
because I'm
some
like,
of them were just
hey,
so just not
yeah,
well executed
yes, especially
shock
towards the
scenes.
end there.
Yeah.
It was
Like,
more of a hey, we're just gonna boom shock value. Yeah, yeah. Her kendo teacher. Yeah, yeah. That's exactly how that
yeah,
happened. Yeah,
killed the pet, got him
yeah.
good.
Oh yeah. You know, I was like, that's fucked up, dude. Like, like,
Well, it is,
hey,
but it just
I'm
it
like, hey,
didn't
man,
match the
like,
rest of the vibe of the show.
just like, yo,
Well, they and the intro and outro all this like lollipop shit and
that.
like
It
what the
was like I laughed inappropriately after the end of one episode
yeah.
because
Do, 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 do.
yeah,
That
but I
shit.
had just watched a TikTok, which, yeah, anime TikTok is all kinds of ate up. But yeah, as you wrap this up, I just watched a TikTok
Oh, you have to
of,
give your rating afterwards too.
yes, I will. I just watched a TikTok to where basically it was making fun of that, to where it's like some like really fucked up dark shit just happened, and then like, and then it's like
God
the
damn.
ending. It just says the ending, and it's like the dude's like dancing all happy and shit. It's like
Was it
it's like
that
the super happy music.
did I saw one too. I have it saved. I was gonna send it to you. We probably saw the same one.
Most likely. But yeah, rating wise, I will give this a. I don't hate it as much as you did, dude.
What did you rate Platinum End?
Give the bitch a three,
I
dog.
forgot.
Give the bitch
You
a
give it a
three.
what?
I give it a three.
Oh well, then.
Yeah, Platinum got a
But you,
three. I will give this a five.
damn,
I
bro,
give
you're
this a
giving an
five.
average.
The reason why it's getting an average is that I know where they were trying to go with it, and it's reasonable where they were trying to go with it. The first half saved it and brought it up to a five. Put it that way. The first half made sense.
See,
It
that's
was
where we're the
perfect and
opposite, though.
abstract.
That's where we're the opposite because, okay, because the animation was fine. I liked it. It
Animation's
looked professionally
flawless.
done
Yeah.
very well. Animation was done very well, which is what tells me they have enough budget to have hired some decent writers.
But yeah, some better writing,
They have
better
enough
story
money. They
direction.
couldn't have just dumped it all into good animation
I
and
mean,
no
it's
story
look, it's a fucking
and no
Aniplex show,
script
bro.
and no
Like, yeah,
yeah, like
Aniplex
that's
has
why
the
I'm
money for this
so
shit,
harsh
dog.
on it
Literally,
because they have it.
them shaking eggs is drawn with Sakuga. You know how much there were like 3 to 4 second bits of that show in certain episodes, and I was like, that's a smooth 20K like that.
Yeah.
Like,
but it's like you it's a got obviously some kind of budget. It's not like a
yeah,
low end budget
there
thing
were
making
random
this. As
things where
far as I know,
like
doesn't seem like it.
it's interesting because like throughout the show, I looked at small things, and we'll wrap this up here shortly. I look at small things where it's like eye running, right? Is like this very fluid, well animated shit, and then like it's spinning the world around her and shit like that. And then like at the very end of that bitch, the last like 2 episodes, it's all blocky, and it's like, what the
Yeah,
fuck happened? Y'all ran out of money now.
they did. They ran out.
So it's like shit like that to where I'm like, yeah, they clearly just lost, like, I guess, I don't know,
They
budget. I
lost
don't know, or
interest.
they went
Even the
way over
guys,
budget. They were like,
when
hey,
they
we
gave
gotta
them
get
the
this done.
script for the last 2 episodes, they were like,
Fuck it,
"What
we're
the
just
hell
gonna
is
send it.
this?
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense." Yeah.
But yeah, I will give it a
So,
5 out of 10. It's about middle of the road, thanks to the animation and the
Aggies.
first half of the show. So,
Aggies.
but yeah,
All right. Well, we'll have some more interesting shows hopefully in the future.
yeah, we're gonna
Watch it if you want.
yeah, I agree. Watch it if you want. I would say
But be
that
warned.
if you are not into or if you've never watched like a magical girl show like Madoka Magica or like even fucking Sailor Moon, Cardcaptor Sakura, Sakura, any of those. If you haven't watched any of them shows, I would watch one of them first. Kind of give you an idea. If you want the really fucked up, like this is a lot of crazy shit that's happening to Magical Girls, definitely watch Madoka Magica. You too, Cole. Even if we don't review it, I just want you to watch it. That way, you'll get a better taste in your mouth for really fucked up like
If I'm gonna watch it,
psychological
we're gonna
magical
do
girl
an
shit.
episode on it. I promise you that.
Okay, fine.
I'm
That'll
gonna
be
waste
later
my
on.
time watching it.
It'll be later on. Yeah. With this one, if you want to watch it if you're curious, watch it. If you want to watch it and expect to come out the other end with,
If some of the cringe doesn't bother you as much,
yeah, like if you're just kind of like, I don't care, it's an anime, I'm gonna watch it. By all means, watch it, Doug. Like, do you?
try and find sub though. Please don't do
The
the dub.
dub is
That is
the dub is pan.
that's
I
the
love
last time I'm
Funimation.
watching dubbed.
I love Funimation. I love their voice actors and actresses, 100%. But man, this felt like a hey, we have a deadline, we need to crank out some voice
Yeah,
acting for this.
I would rather watch Naruto dubbed than this shit.
Yeah,
Naruto dubbed I thought was
I
pretty
fucking
cringy.
despise. It hurts.
So,
But yeah,
either way,
that's gonna be it for us on this one.
we're mean today. So
We will not be
if you
taking
love the
as long
show,
of a hiatus whatsoever in the future. We're gonna try and crank shit out for you
we're just
guys.
busy boys.
We've just been busy. Finals week is now done. I am now back mentally from the brink of just pain, sadness, and
Of
whiskey. Like, no, I'll never get that far. But yeah, we're gonna go in and get back into the fucking groove of things, and hopefully y'all will join us
more
on this
action
ride.
packed next time.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna swing back into the action of things.
Get away from some of this depressing shit. I'm tired of it. Get me out of this, Sherpa.
I didn't realize it was gonna be this depressing.
I know you're failing me as my Sherpa.
So we're like, I can't get jiggy with the shit.
No, pretty much.
Oh my god. But yeah, we're gonna get out of here.
Yeah.
See y'all later. Peace.